Indeed. And would you also touch base again, based on the comment that I'd seen somebody had made, saying, why would anybody want to convert to Judaism if they're already part of one of the other tribes? I mean, why is Judaism, or the Jewish people from Judah, any more special than the one from Ephraim or from Reuben or something like that? So
okay, so that's a linguistic issue.
Okay.
And we're going to be having that a lot in the show. So we have to be, unless you are, that means if you're going to be using 21st century language and then impose that on the Bible, as you would guess, you're going to wind up in a lot of trouble. So what we want to do is always go to Scripture.
Right.
And what we find in the Bible is that after following in the 14th year of Hezekiah, following the carrying away of the 10 northern tribes to a place unknown, and we're seeing the restoration of these tribes today. But we'll set that aside for now.
Okay.
Whatever was left, and what was left was essentially 3 tribes. Much of the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Judah, which is the main tribe, which is the tribe that produces the Davidic dynasty, and the Levites. I'm from the tribe of Levi. I'm a Cohen, a direct descendant of Aaron. I happen to be a descendant of Eli, the high priest, as well. But in the Bible, at the point when the 10 northern tribes are carried away, and all that is left are those tribes that are now loyal to Judah. They are now all the children of Israel, regardless of what tribe they're actually from. They are in Scripture going to be called Jews. So that means, and Jew now in Scripture, we find this in Isaiah when Assyria had surrounded the Jerusalem and sought to destroy whatever was left of the Davidic house. In that time, the king was Hezekiah. They were speaking the language of the Jews. So we see there the word Jew now has a different meaning. We find in the book of Esther, as an example, that Mordechai was from the tribe of Benjamin, Ish Yemini, but he was also called a Yehudi. He's called a Jew. We find that in Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23, that in the Messianic age, 10 Gentiles of different languages will grab the shirt of a Jew.
Very good point.
Take us with you, because now we know that God is with you. And we're going to be doing this a lot. This can be very confusing for people if you're not soaked in Scripture. If Torah is not dripping from your lips, the Torah should be your entire life. And as the Bible tells us in the book of Joshua, you shall indulge in the study of Torah night and day. But if one says, look, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to devote my entire life to studying Torah, you're going to find yourself in a little bit of trouble, because you're not going to be familiar with ideas in the Scripture. You're going to be reading a paragraph out of context. You're not going to be familiar with the language of Scripture in a particular chapter. And of course, now I'm not saying this, God forbid, in a condescending way, but you're all a bunch of idiots. I'm joking. That's not, I kid around about that. But what I try to do then is I have to untangle a problem, because unfortunately our people many of them are lost for a lack of knowledge. So I want to bring this all together in Scripture, so they understand what these words mean in their context. And of course, we're going to use the Bible as our guide whenever possible. So therefore, the word Jew, it's not just today, but in fact, going back to the time of the Assyrian Empire, which is the empire prior to the Babylonian Empire. It's an empire that was destroyed through a great miracle on Passover, incidentally, following the carrying away the 10 northern tribes. Remember, when they were carried away, the divine presence did not go with them. It stayed with the rest of the Jewish people. when the Jews were exiled from the first temple, when it was destroyed, so the divine chariot, in fact, traveled with them, but didn't go with the 10 northern tribes. And therefore, in the Bible, the remnant that remained, irrespective of what tribe they're from, they are now called Jews. And in that sense, the term means those who are faithful to the tribe of Judah, which would have been the southern kingdom. So now, I made this a little bit more clear for you.
Yeah, and also a little more juicy, because so that means, like, if someone who isn't already from the tribe of Judah per se, if they do find out they've got blood coming from one of the other tribes, then indeed they don't need to actually convert. But it's the ones who aren't associated with the 12 tribes at all. Those are the ones who, and I said need, I don't mean in that way. I mean who desire to convert. If they're already part of the other tribes, I mean, I guess there's a way they would know, and they would say, hey, you're already part of the tribe of Levi. You don't have to actually go through this because you're already a Jew. Is that how that works?
Well, I'm not. By this definition, I'm not a Jew.
Right.
I'm from the tribe of Levi. So
that's a good point. Clear enough.
One might say that I'm an Israelite. But if you're going to use that kind of lexicon, it's not a biblical lexicon. That means the biblical language at the very juncture of this terrible event. Isaiah had a prophetic career that spanned many, many decades, much more than half a century, a very long prophetic career. He watched the silver age of Jewish history, the time of Uzziah and Yotam, great years, but he also saw the destruction of all the entire northern kingdom. When I see destruction, it doesn't mean they were killed, they were carried off. I should put as a footnote here, there were many people who were from the northern kingdom who actually infiltrated and came down to the south. They're among us today and always have. So in scripture, they are now called Jews. Jews now has a different connotation. The Jews now, this connotation is that you are aligned, you are devoted to the tribe of Judah. And remember, if we go back to Genesis chapter 49, we see there that the promise made to Judah, and it's not really for him personally, but for his progeny, is that he would be the leading tribe. And we're seeing that prophecy unfold before our eyes today. So therefore, all people, all of the children of Israel today are generically called Jews. We see that again in the Bible very, very clearly. So this could be confusing for folks, and what we're going to do is we're going to try to untangle this, look at the Bible. The examples of this are,
perfect.
But anyway, so that's the answer. This could be confusing to folks.